Oh, you had to get out on the bank and put your fin back on? Okay, so the original straps that were on these were just a total fail. They would get wet and then they would get soft and they would stretch and the buckles wouldn't stay intact and they would loosen up and almost come off, 30 minutes into a trip. So we ended up using some paracord just as an emergency backup. It worked. It was very redneck and it looks really dumb, but it did work. And but this also sort of loosened up as well. So, I don't know. We did go to a different flipper, and that's these right here. And these are $109 at Cabela's or Bass Pro. And these are the White River, and there's even the price right there. This fin seems to have a unique shape to it, which supposedly increases your thrust. The buckles it comes with look okay, but they can loosen up on their own, and this is made out of the same webbing that the others were made out of. But these look like they'd be a little easier to put on. And these also came with an ankle strap in case your buckles do come off, which apparently is a thing, because they put that on there, and you can lose your whole fin. So at $50 a fin, you don't want to do that, obviously. But these are pretty adjustable, so this is nice. We might try these today. But what we've done on the other fin is we bought these straps, and these are the 3-foot straps. And these were at Sportsman's Warehouse. I started to get the 1-foot straps, but I'm glad we got the 3-foot straps because these are just barely going to be big enough. Now these buckles are not really buckles. These are more like a cam lock. So this is almost like climbing webbing. This is very, very rigid, even though it's just as thin as the other stuff. Still very pliable, but you can tell it's much, much stronger, much denser than this stuff right here. Okay. So we're going to try these out today. Okay, so we're going to do an experiment here. We're going to use the factory straps. Here, a little bit hard to adjust. Looks like they're going to loosen up. Looks like it. So we're going to try this out on this foot. We put these NRS straps on here, and these tighten down really, really well. And they're really easy to tighten down. You just pull them, and they just lock. They're not going anywhere. So I'm pretty confident in these that these are going to do just fine. The 3-foot's too long. You can see we had to cut off well over a foot. So let's try them out. We'll see which ones are loose when we get back. So these Sims boots, these are not like wading fly fishing boots. They have a regular just rubber grippy sole on the bottom, but they just slip on, and they're only ankle height, as you can see right there. They don't have a zipper, but we had to buy a size bigger to fit the neoprene bootie inside. But they go on really quick, a lot faster than wading boots. They look pretty comfortable. We'll see what her opinion is when we get back to the shore, if she likes them or not. Hopefully they'll stay on. Hey. And you can also see the strap here, the ankle strap, seems to be in good position as well just in case the buckles totally fail, you don't lose your flipper completely. There's some big tails on those. We might end up cutting all these tails off and cutting them short. I'm going to leave them at length right now just to make sure this is what we're going to do with them.
They're a lot easier to walk in. The ends of the flippers aren't so long that I keep getting them caught, like the old ones.
You still have to kind of point your toes up?
Yeah, you still have to point your toes up just a little bit.
But they're better?
They're way better. The right foot with the original straps have already loosened.
Did you kick that flipper off yet? Oh, I see a trout. Is that a trout? Or a pike? So, how do you feel about the performance of the fins?
Oh my goodness. It's so different. It is so easy. Look how fast I'm going.
I know. So, easier to kick?
Yes.
It's a noticeable difference?
Yep. Later.
Bye.
Did you see me get out?
Uh-uh.
I lost my fin.
Oh, you had to get out on the bank and put your fin back on?
Yeah.
Which one, the blue strap or the black strap?
And it's almost off again. I've had to tighten it like 5 times.
Okay.
Every time you kick, the strap loosens.
Okay. But the blue ones are working okay?
Yeah, they haven't finished.
Okay, good. What about the shoes?
Shoes are awesome. I was able to hike up that hill.
You know how far you are from the truck, right? You've come 3 times as far as you did with the other flippers today. The truck is right there. And what? Wow, those are well worth it then.
They're the best.
You have blood on the side of your boat.
Yeah. I've had so much fun.
You've been catching lots of fish?
There's an eagle.
It's a bald eagle?
Yep. Oh, he's pretty, isn't he? He's gonna screw your fish. It's not quite off yet, but there's no strap hanging out of the.
Let's see the other one. You haven't had to touch that one. So the strap actually pulls all the way through?
Yep. Completely comes undone.
And that's with the huge tail we left on it.
Yeah.
We left a huge tail on it,
Yep.
didn't we? It's a good thing you had the leashes on.
Yeah, see?
Okay. They both came off?
Both off.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you back. Okay. So it is kind of redneck, but it is working. She does have one flipper on. I'm towing her back to the truck, and but she can still fish. Well, I'm telling you. Here we go. Okay, so what about those boots that you're wearing?
They are so comfortable, and they're light, and they have good traction. And they're neoprene. My feet aren't old or wet.
They're neoprene on the inside?
Yep.
And your neoprene booty?
Uh-huh.
So you're wearing shorts underneath the waders,
Yeah.
and your legs are warm
Yeah.
still? Well, I guess one of the cool advantages to shoes like that is if something did go wrong and you ended up on, you know, the wrong side of the lake because of a windstorm, or you had to get out because of a thunderstorm, you could walk around the lake pretty comfortably in those, yeah? Or you lost a flipper?
Yeah.
Okay, so after taking this out a few times, you know, these classic accessories, float tube fins from Walmart, they're $40. Yeah, no. The strap doesn't work well. It stretches, it comes loose. The original strap, you can see the mess we made with paracord just trying to keep them on just to save the trip. And and they do have small holes here. Maybe, these are fairly robust, and maybe a strap that you could design to go across here would be good. But as far as them sticking past your foot, if you have a size 12 foot, or 10 foot even, your toe comes up to here. This isn't much kicking fin. Now these are sold under several brands, this exact design. They're all about $100 low, $110, $120 though. Outcast sells a pair just like this. This is the Caddis, I think, from Cabela's. We also saw the same ones at Bass Pro. Of course, they're sister stores now. And my wife was much more pleased with the performance of these. I think part of it was, as you're lifting your leg and you're kicking, that's scooping water and forcing it down the middle. And so it kind of accelerates the water down the middle channel there. But as you drop your foot also, it's tapered. And then as you drop your foot back, that's not a power stroke, right? This is the power stroke coming up. As you're dropping your foot, that's not really a power stroke. And so it's tapered like that. And so it flows through the water easier. So she said she used less energy using these for sure. So whichever you choose, just make sure you get a strap like this, an ankle strap, a safety strap, so that you can save your fins if one of them does loosen up for whatever reason. Now, as far as these straps go, she was really, really happy with this. They didn't loosen at all. They didn't stretch at all. So yeah, this is definitely was definitely a good idea. Now I'd recommend getting the 3-footers after going out today, because we almost cut these too short. Okay. And we cut off, that much. So see what I'm talking about right here? This is when you're putting your foot in, this is where your boot's going to use the most strap, right before this pops through right there. And so we cut the strap short to right there. And if you loosen it up to that point, it's just barely enough to get the boot in. Okay, so what I would recommend doing is if you get these straps and put them on these fins or fins like these, really good straps, obviously, but make sure you put your foot in, tighten them down, and then loosen them, and then make sure you can get your boot in and out, in whatever position that is, leave yourself a little bit of a tail, and then go ahead and cut them there as you're putting the boot in and taking the boot out. So that'll just make sure you have plenty of strap, you don't cut them too short. Now, as far as this tail that's on here, it just kind of flops around. That's not a lot of tail hanging around and flopping around. Maybe I'll figure out a way to tuck it or fasten it somewhere. So when I put the other pair on, I'm going to try to orient these so like this is the right foot. This will be the outside of the right foot, that you can grab this and just pull it this way to tighten it down. Okay. And then these will be kind of flopping to the outside rather to the inside. So just for a side-by-side comparison, the classic accessories fin on the left and the Powerkick fins on the right, and they're not that much longer, but my wife kicked probably 3 times as far, and her legs weren't nearly as tired even after going that far. So, and had the one strap stayed on, she probably would have been able to go even further. Now, let's say you don't want that much of a tail. When you tighten your boot down, that you don't want that flopping around, or you don't want to tuck it in or whatever. You can make it shorter. You can make it like that. Because if you make it that short, all you have to do is, tighten up your strap here. Then you'd have to manually put this through each time, which isn't that hard. Shouldn't be that hard. And then if you have a little bit of a tail just like that long, you could just feed it through right there and then grab it and tighten it down. Probably a little bit more work. I think I'll leave them that length for now. Okay, so we're going to try to make these classic accessories float tube fins work for me. And, they seem to be fairly robust. I don't know, they seem to be. And maybe they're not the optimal design for thrust, but I'm going to try to make them work with my boot. With these Sims boot, they do work pretty well. These are studded boots, but they just kind of slide right in. This is a size 10 US. Probably don't need 4 feet, but we bought some extra just to make sure. I was worried these wouldn't slide through these round holes very well, but they slip through really easily. Well, you know what? I might want to do this different. If I'm kicking up and the water pressure is pushing down on my boot, I may want to put this down here instead of up here. And maybe I can get away with just one. Okay, now we put it in the lower one. Put the boot in, push the heel all the way back, tighten that down. That's a pretty snug fit. Just make sure this is going to be enough to... Oh, I think that's plenty. Looks like the boot's going to go right in. Okay, let's cut it there. Okay. Okay, now that we got the front strap sorted, let's figure out the back strap back here. This is like the leash, right? So this is where a longer one's definitely going to pay off more. What I'd like to do is end up with this buckle right here in the front and go ahead and put this right here and tie a knot right there. So that this is always attached so it doesn't fall off. I'm not having to find parts. Let's just tighten that like that right there. Now let's drop the boot in and let's just see how this does. All right, and this is where we're definitely going to need a longer one, right? Okay, so the label goes out there. Let's bring this one around. So this will be a leash just in case one of the straps were to fail, which would shock me if these straps ever failed, but okay, I think that's going to work good right there. That's going to work well. Now this one's going to have to become fully disconnected when we go to tighten it down on our boot, and my leg and my foot may be way up here. So let's just go ahead and mark this one. Is that going to hold? Dude, that is super strong. Now what I should have done with these is cut them all at an angle, sort of like this. That way I'll have a little bit of a point to put through there. I might go through there a little easier. So we'll try this out, but I'm not sure there's a big advantage of having a second strap right here. I think I'm just going to try this like this. As long as the heel's way back here and it's locked in, this is going to work well. Now the Sims boot does have this nice finger pull here that when you're putting them on, you can hook your fingers under there and pull your boots on or pull them off. It's really nice, really robust. And I thought about just making the loop up here and coming back down. But if I ever try a different boot that doesn't have this, I want to make sure my leash goes all the way around my boot. So that way I can use it for multiple types of boots. Okay, so this is the toe strap that goes across the toe of the boot, the front of the boot, and that's 22 inches. That's what I came up with. Okay, and then the strap, that's the leash that goes around your ankle, this is 26 inches. And so you probably don't need these 4-footers. These are pretty long, kind of excessive. You could probably get away with the 3-footer just fine because of the lengths here. Even if your boot's longer or even taller here, 3 feet should be plenty to get one good solid wrap around it. So one time we got these so tight around my wife's foot that initially she thought, oh, it'll be fine, it'll loosen up. And it didn't loosen up, and she had to stop and loosen it because her foot was going numb. It was staying so tight. So these things are no joke. They do really, really well. Okay, well, that's what they look like. Hope this helps you guys. If you're thinking about keeping these classic accessories fins and using them and making them work, the straps we were just totally unhappy with, but they seem to do okay. And they don't stick out real far here, so they don't give you a ton of thrust, but they seem to do the job for the price. And if I have a small area that I'm kicking around on, then this is going to be just fine. If I have a big lake I'm trying to cross, these probably aren't going to be the best choice. But for most of what we do, we're not going real far from the shore from where we unload, so I'm pretty excited about this. So did they loosen up?
Nope.
Not at all?
No.
They stayed nice and tight?
Yep.
Perfect.
They did. They're perfect.